So, uh, there's a lot of things that are happening right now. Um, Kayak we can see a lot of moves di metals like gold, silver, and also ini semua berkesinambungan with the US bonds and also Japan bonds. Why specifically Japan? Karena they're one of the cheapest di dunia ini, and with apa namanya, uh, bisa dibilang cheapest tapi dia quality juga because it's Japan. And also kayak what's going on with Bitcoin right now. Karena kayak this is not a good look, right? Yeah, we've had a good run dari 16,000 jadi berapa kemarin at all time high itu around $126,000, 125. And yeah, so uh this is just a note for myself maybe di masa depan. I'm trying to make a thesis out of this because uh the the whole situation is just really uh, a bit complicated. Yeah, a bit complicated. Karena kayak di teori-teori yang gue pernah pelajarin harusnya tuh nggak begini tapi kok agak begini gitu. Let's start with the bond sell off dulu. Oke. So bonds itu adalah instrumen di mana lu bisa issue dan lu uh, pinjam dari uh, masyarakat luas ya, or in other ya intinya investors lah. Dan total beberapa biaya balik atau cost of the bonds itself itu per tahunnya diukur dengan namanya yield ya. Yield itu adalah kupon plus apresiasi harga dari uh, price ke par ya, atau depresiasi harga dari price ke par sama aja ya. Sebetulnya price amortization of the bond itself gitu. Usually kalau di US yang tenor-tenornya pendek itu setahun, 2 tahun, 3 tahun, mereka nggak pakai kupon, tapi mereka bayarnya dari amortisasi premium ya. Jadi mereka nge-issue bondsnya tuh di 95, 94 gitu. And then bondsnya bakal mature di 100. Which yang kita semua tahu ya. Just kindly revisiting konsep-konsep yang udah pernah kita pelajari. Nah, kenapa ini very interesting right now? Karena sure, kita semua tahu bahwa kemarin yield itu naik dari, sebentar, mana sih brush-nya? Yield dari 0, persenan itu naik sampai berapa? 4 persenan. And we all know the reason why gitu. This is very clear gitu. Karena ya the inflation ya. Inflation yang terlalu gila-gilaan bekas COVID kemarin membuat pemerintah harus naikin suku bunga acuan yang akhirnya akan menaikkan bonds apa sorry menaikkan yield bonds yang akan diisi di masa depan gitu. So that's good ya kan. Mereka mereka investors selling off the bonds yang di masa lalu, habis itu mereka membeli bonds yang baru diissue karena memiliki yield yang lebih besar daripada yang di masa lalu. Bagus. Masalahnya sekarang agak berbeda kelihatannya. So lepas dari 2020, uh, we all know bahwa the velocity that money is being created in the world is very fast, is very high, and not only the velocity tapi the distribution of money also nggak terbatas hanya di close money aja. Kita bisa lihat dari kayak the most risk on assets itu kayak private debts, private loans, venture capital, angel checks, atau cryptocurrency meme coins gitu tahun 2021, 2022 kan. Hmm, it's very very good ya. Mereka punya performance yang tinggi yang dimana berarti distribusi dari uh, moneter itu bagus ya. Tapi it all leads to high inflation. Nah, sayangnya itu nggak dibakar dengan namanya real productivity. Yang dimana real productivity itu yang seharusnya yang bikin uang itu masuk. Dan itu malah di backing dari utang-utang yang di dibiayai dengan sekitar 0,5 sampai 1% ya utangnya. Dan ini satu dunia gitu. Dan akhirnya balance sheet dari the governments around the world, especially US ya, yang dimana compared to debt to GDP-nya udah elevated dari dulu, sekarang makin elevated lagi. And I think in principles and in pembayaran bunga it could lead up sampai 10 triliun USD gitu. And which the government is trying to find a solution to refinance the 10 triliun USD karena nggak mungkin mereka bayar sekarang kan, it's no way, it's impossible gitu. And kemungkinan juga uh, you know ini yang menurut gue yang how do I say this, ini yang menurut gue agak agak bikin the whole market jadi begitu reaktif terhadap move-nya ini. So currently what we have is a distrust ya. So it's distrust, distrust to the US government, distrust ya, ini distrust to the US government, which leads to, ini apaan sih? Kenapa gue angkat tangan? Uh, okay. Distrust to the US government, and which leads to US bonds, sovereign bonds dari US itu sell off, ya kan? Kenapa distrust? Karena bondholders nggak takut the US itu nggak bisa bayar balik hutangnya. Meskipun, and even in the worst case mereka takut akan defaultnya the US government, which is likely to be impossible. Tapi nothing is impossible di dunia finance. 2008 happened, ya kan? Trillions of dollars tiba-tiba hilang begitu aja on one day. Jadi nobody really know apa yang bisa terjadi, apa yang nggak bisa terjadi. And the default of the US government could maybe be out of the equation, tapi not entirely out of the equation gitu. We still have to, pretend bahwa senario dari the US government being dissolvent itu uh, bisa jadi terjadi gitu. Jadi jangan jangan pikir itu nggak terjadi ya. Mungkin nggak terjadi. Mungkin aja, nggak ada yang nggak mungkin. So distrust to the US government, and then it creates US bond sell off. And siapa yang jualan ini? Siapa yang jualan ini kan? Ya ada dua pihak kebanyakan ya. Maksudnya majority ya. Satu itu CBs around the world, CBs ya, central banks around the world. Jadi Bank of Japan, BOE ya, the the Europe government. Mereka selling of the US bonds, and then also dua adalah bond vigilantes ya, BVs. Bond vigilantes ini ya adalah pihak yang dimana hmm, mereka menunjukkan kerasa tidak percaya mereka dengan menjual US bonds gitu. Biasanya private holders besar gitu. And it doesn't matter ya nomor dua. Yang paling penting adalah nomor satunya, central banks around the world. Agak bahaya ketika central banks around the world itu nggak percaya dengan negara nomor satu di dunia sekarang saat ini, dan there's no alternative terhadap second best of the US government ya. There's no there's no second best. I mean, the number one that is still best doing their job as a government is still the US gitu. In terms of economics ya. I'm not talking about politics atau apapun. Tapi in terms of economics and finance, the US is still number one, credit risk-nya paling rendah dan semuanya paling oke gitu. Tapi kalau misalnya the number one is selling off, meaning bahwa ini the safest bond that you can ever get di dunia ini. Dan ketika central bank, orang-orang yang ngatur central bank adalah orang-orang lebih pintar pada kita jauh 1000 kali lipat. Mereka bilang bahwa the US government bonds itu not good again, meaning bahwa it's fucked up. It's fucked up. So apa yang mereka lakuin ya, apalagi China ya. China holds a lot of US treasuries. So what they did adalah they purchased a lot of precious metals. Purchase precious metals gitu. Jadi uh, untuk ngejaga balance sheet-nya agak aman ya, even though they don't have returns on it ya, historically precious metals, tapi ya yang ngebuat semuanya jadi rally karena everyone is fucking buying gold and silver because it's flight to safety kan. And yeah, terus how does this concern to the stock market or the cryptocurrencies market? Well, stock market, they are on their own. Um, when in evaluating a stock market performance, ya lu harus lihat the FX, and also you have to look at the valuations that are being implied in the markets itself gitu. Wow, adjusted to uh their multiples. Kalau misalnya lihat kayak SPX gitu. Uh, I think it's selling at around 20 to 30 time multiples, and it's justifiable, tapi justifiable karena uh, the growth in the productivity of the index itu is being generated through innovations and technology yang mereka bisa buat, and especially kayak we're seeing the surge in AI ya. Tapi it still is not invisible to the tailwind yang bisa dihasilkan dari uh, precious metals naik ya. Karena if you're talking about equities, pasti selalu dibutuhkan namanya excess capital yang orang punya untuk bisa speculate on the markets gitu. So we have elevated PE, and ini bagus nggak bagus ya? Sebenarnya it doesn't matter ya. PE itu bukan berarti bilang mahal murah, tapi lebih ke arah ekspektasinya sekarang lagi gimana sih gitu. Karena kalau ekspektasinya bagus, hasilnya bagus ya nggak ada masalah kan. Yang jadi masalah kan ketika ekspektasinya bagus tapi jelek gitu. Yang lebih bagus lagi ketika ekspektasinya jelek tapi jadi bagus. Itu probably bisa terjadi ketika SPX kayak selling at a 10 times PE, and which is impossible ya nowadays. Jadi jadi SPX punya ekspektasi yang sangat tinggi, especially kalau kita ngomongin the technology index Nasdaq itu punya ekspektasi yang lebih tinggi lagi, especially tambahan informasi lagi Anthropic, OpenAI, uh, a lot of these AI companies kayak xAI juga bakal IPO probably di 2006 2007 ini, dan it could suck up a lot of capital gitu. And I don't really know if it's worth it or not, karena still the money yang yang tersebar di dunia ini kebanyakan masih di hold central banks, and then they're buying gold. The money flows there gitu. They're buying gold and they're buying silver. Nobody knows ketika uh ya harusnya risk on atau risk off kapan. Tapi ya we could understand the criteria yang could lead up to it gitu. So that's that, the equities, Nasdaq. Is what about crypto, right? And to be honest, guys, kemarin uh, kan I'm an economics student ya, and um, kita coba cari tahu apa sih sebenarnya yang bisa define BTC, or not define, tapi what is something that could correlate to BTC in the medium run atau long run. And actually, we have a narrative. Jadi the results are pretty inconsistent. Sometimes in some sample size kayak dia more correlated to gold. Sometimes in other sample size juga dia more correlated to Nasdaq. And nowadays kayak it is more correlated to Nasdaq on the downside. So kita coba bagi dua lagi sampel size-nya. Kemarin ada yang pas harganya naik on intraday dia gimana, pas harganya turun on intraday gimana, and the sample must be very random. Jadi kita coba memperbesar apa namanya sample size ya, so it's random. And yes, no homoscedasticity found in the model itself. Tapi sorry, no heteroscedasticity is found. Tapi ya gitu, resultnya mengecewakan ya. Jadi dia itu more correlated to the downside deviation dari Nasdaq and not really correlated to the upside of Nasdaq. And sometimes it also correlates to gold. So dan itu sensitivitas bukan correlated tapi sensitivitasnya diukur dengan menggunakan beta, which is justifiable ya, as long as the variable is intact ya, or significant. And here we go. Jadi um, bacanya bacanya sangat simpel ya, kayak if it's risk off, ya nggak usah berharap dari sini. And flight from metals to cryptocurrency itu pasti pasti bakal lewat through a lot of stages in life gitu. Jadi from metals mereka baru beli bonds lagi ya, dari beli bonds lagi mereka bakal beli equities ya, and then some private sectors baru mulai jalan, and consumption baru naik ya, wealth effect dari uh, ekspansi tersebut baru naik, yang which is right now belum belum sama sekali kejadian ya. And so crypto is in the last apa ya the last steps of liquidity expansion, yang kita aja satu step pertama aja belum gitu, because um, everything is still in metals gitu. Karena kalau ya sorry to say ya, the bull market from 16K to 120K um, nggak terjadi ekspansi yang begitu besar dari sisi liquidity yang masuk ke crypto gitu. Besar, cuma nggak sebegitu besar deltanya ketimbang waktu COVID sampai 2021 gitu. Yeah, which is alright. So now we know the position of the markets itself kan. Terus gimana? What are we investing? Ya kan? I would say no. Don't invest in anything ya. Uh, it's a bit complicated right now. Dan gue sendiri nggak nggak mengerti 100% dari apa yang market sediakan untuk gue gitu. And I would probably just be playing in Indonesian stocks ya. Tapi Indonesian stocks itu juga tailwind-nya rasanya kencang banget ya. Ketika ada sell off besar-besaran di international markets atau ya other equities markets, apalagi yang kayak other developed markets selling off, ya udah kecewa udah kita. Pasti mereka capital flight ya dari Indonesia keluar gitu. Or bahkan kayak kalau kayak gini ceritanya, there are a lot of possibilities yang bisa terjadi di sini gitu. So I would say right now, I'm not 100% completely out of the market, tapi I would say wait and see dulu. Maksudnya sampai sekarang the tide is not clear, and in the game of investing, in the game of the financial markets, uh, kita harus punya pandangan yang berubah-berubah terus gitu. Kalau kita nggak bisa berubah-berubah, atau kita sotoy namanya, kita di masa lalu terus berdasarkan our old firm beliefs ya, you cannot make it out gitu. I mean, if one day later atau mungkin 10 minutes later the information has change, ternyata oke, ternyata kita lagi transit atau there's a flight uh, from precious metals to bonds gitu ya, I would be more bullish. Tapi right now it's ini serem gitu, kecuali your outlook itu or your time frame itu not only setahun nih tapi more than 5 years, I would say buy. Tapi kalau misalnya your performance diukur 1 tahunan and you need money 1 tahunan sekali in your investing portfolio, ya I would say wait and see. So my portfolio itself ya kebanyakan di saham Indonesia and some private deals ya. not some tapi one private deal, sorry. And then that's it ya. Gue nggak nggak banyak neko-neko ya karena ngeliat kripto sekarang serem banget loh. Gue nggak ngeliat, maksudnya nggak ngeliat only from price action, tapi seremnya in the narrative behind it itu ya nggak bisa dikonklude kalau ini bakal be in a bullish term in the next 90 to 360 days or in a bearish term ya. Gue nggak bilang ini juga bearish ya. Tapi I'm just saying, right now, capital is flying ke precious metals and kita nggak tahu sampai kapan lagi gitu. Even the bonds yang paling aman, ya, US 10Y, US yang lebih lebih dekat lagi, lebih pendek lagi itu juga selling off gitu. Yang 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 menandakan bahwa it's fucked up. Tapi ada other scenario yang itu scenario yang buruk ya. And ada other scenario yang could play out adalah oke, the US got the bondholders dari US itu pede dengan US ternyata they could they could actually pay their debts back ya, mereka mereka bisa surprise suku bunga ya karena kan agenda of the White House sekarang mau surprise suku bunga yang which is the only agenda yang mereka harusnya fokuskan karena if not ya they will they will not they will not refinance their debt ya. They will just eventually default gitu. Tapi right now there's this agenda and Trump is working for it. Ya. Mereka berusaha untuk, I mean, gue nggak bilang cara Trump bener apa salah. I'm just saying, could it work or could it not work gitu. I mean, we're in a game of capitalism. Benar atau salah itu really is the last thing that you should think about. Tapi yeah, they're trying to take over Greenland. They take over Venezuela's oil reserves. Mereka gedein budget militer mereka. Ya, karena ya gimana caranya they try to earn their bondholders trust ya. And by ketika okay say that whatever Trump's doing uh it's working, okay? They're buying back into the bonds again and then yield is suppressing lagi. Mungkin bisa balik lagi di level below 4% gitu maybe. And also mereka juga they're relentlessly trying to replace Jerome Powell the governor of the Federal Reserve. And if that could happen and then the central bank is not independent lagi, well, nggak masalah ya, tapi ya that could lead to another great spiral of inflation. Tapi nggak masalah, maksudnya in the medium run kalau misalnya itu terjadi, it's a bullish environment for the markets and ya. Yeah. Tapi I would say itu terjadi. Gue nggak bilang itu nggak terjadi. I would say the probability of that happening is 20 to 30%. It's it's not very likely. It's not about 50%. Tapi kalau ini nggak terjadi, serem for the markets right now. So either lu pilih enak sekarang, oke, okay? Cara yang baru tadi gue bilang, oke, okay, kita bisa lakuin ini dan ini caranya yang enak. Tapi it doesn't flush the whole problem away gitu. Karena refinancing your debt is just refinancing your debt. Ya, lu cuma rolling over your debt ya. You're not paying your debt. You are refinancing it gitu. And yes, maybe we could have a lower interest rates. Yes. And maybe risk on assets itu bisa naik lagi in terms of liquidity expansion. Tapi ya it's not gonna be permanent ya condition kayak gitu. Karena as we saw in 2021 as a president bahwa ya the whole narrative of suppressing of the interest rates itu nggak bakal sustainable ya. Karena it will lead to hitting labor market and also hitting inflation or CPI gitu. Yang which will make rate hikes and then the thing goes and on and on and on again gitu. Or kita ambil jalan yang susah sekarang. Ya, everyone is being defensive. Kita beli gold, kita beli silver. US equity selling off. Just let the government default ya. let's rebuild this shit from zero. Itu I think if you have a utilitarian view of the world, ya sah-sah aja gitu loh lu mikir kayak gitu. I think it's better. Yeah, I think it's better. Tapi tapi I don't want that to happen ya. Ya, dan kalau kalau lu tanya pendapat pribadi gue, eh apa yang bakal terjadi yang skenario satu apa dua? Gue nggak ada skenario lain yang selain satu atau dua itu. Tapi kayaknya yang kejadian skenario dua sih. Even though the probability of it kejadian itu menurut gue rendah. Yeah, there's a higher probability of the US is defaulting ya ceritanya. Tapi kayaknya mau nggak mau pasti US nggak boleh default karena ketika US default, bro, other countries default juga, and gold will be like $10,000 an ounce gitu, and which is crazy kayak oh my god, nggak itu Armageddon gila nggak, we can't have that gitu, and not in 2026 gitu, not like 6 years after COVID. I mean everyone's life is very hard right now. Kita punya unemployment yang cukup tinggi, very sticky. Okay, inflation is better. And unemployment yang cukup tinggi bukan karena industri yang lagi lesu, tapi it's because of AI are taking our jobs, and they're taking our jobs sooner and faster dari yang seharusnya. And then the growth of AI itu growing at a very exponential phase. And oh my God, apalagi when China and Taiwan tiba-tiba done ya, China has Taiwan, TSMC is under control of the CCP. The AI arms race bakal jadi lebih hot and hot again, and oh my god, gua nggak tahu apa yang bakal kejadian ini, but fuck, it's fucked up, it's fucked up. It's just 6 years after COVID, 6 years after everyone lost their job, and they rebuilt di tahun 2021 2022. And then what everyone is currently rebuilding udah mulai kemakan lagi with the low unemployment and the very high cost of living. I mean, in developed countries, you have 40 to 50% of your rent itu being a part of your income gitu. 40 to 50% gitu. Especially that income udah kepotong with 30 to 40% tax rate atau income tax rate. That's fucked up. That's fucked up. The better the productivity that we have in the world is going to make more and more and more inequality that's happening right now in the world. Ketika mesin uap was introduced in the UK, di IR pertama kita, Industrial Revolution pertama kita, productivity went to the roof gitu. Dari satu pabrik bisa ngasilin mungkin 10 per jam, ini jadi 100 per jam. And then jadinya nggak butuh banyak labor ya, karena it's inefficient ya. And the more it grows, the more it went, the more labor are not needed in the economy. And then the big point of that adalah when the economy, or sorry, the labor itu atau kita manusia itu nggak lagi bekerja lagi semuanya. No one is working anymore, and we receive a universal income karena the productivity is so productive, so efficient, and we just do things. We live as a human aja. And that for me is very dystopian. Man. I'm not ready to live in a world like that. Karena I don't know. Kalau nggak kerja, gue bakal ngapain? I mean, right now I'm not working. I don't plan to work. I just invest in the financial markets and do shit in financial markets. But the people that are not in the financial markets atau not in a niche industry, you guys are. I am gonna pray for you every day, bro. Kalau misalnya kalau misalnya we revert back to the old ways, yeah, and I hope so. Everyone working again and kawan-kawan. That's the best thing that could happen right now. Tapi ya, that's why gue bilang kayak ya, don't focus on the financial markets first. Just save yourself first gitu. Karena the real threat right now is not in your portfolio naik apa turun. The real threat right now is in the economy being so efficient it could take away your jobs. And then your portfolio wouldn't matter as much kan? Iya nggak buat apa lu pikirin portofolio lu bakal naik berapa persen per tahun atau gimana your strategy this or that. Tapi lu nggak ada kerjaan, same shit ya. Jadi jadi good luck everyone. That's the market outlook. Uh, Stay sane and yeah, be a nepo baby if you could. I don't know what else to the alternatives yang bisa bikin lu hidup lebih enak daripada sekarang. Bye bye.